be the third straight year without any increase in our health, prescription, dental, and vision insurance. We roughly pay $48,000 a month to cover the employees with their benefits. There's a 3% increase in the property and casualty insurance, as well as our liability and workers' comp insurances. Another fee which is reflected in $221,434 in trash expenses. It costs us $53 per ton to dump at the Solid Waste Authority, and our recycling costs $90 per ton. So we're moving people's trash, we're not getting paid for it. There's $50,000 budgeted from bills this year that's projected to be carried forward in 2020. It's down from last year. That number might be a little bit lower towards the end of the year. The talk about a new administrator of police building, there's no money budgeted for that because there's no excess money. There's no reserve in the budget. Projections are estimated. We're going to continue to make sure that new businesses are compliant with the 1% LST taxes in the town. And then some of the stuff I haven't read, just some ideas I have that council can do moving forward next year. No purchases should be approved prior to a council meeting vote or projected accounts payable. All overtime must be requested and approved by council at the monthly meeting. LERTA ordinance must be proposed to entice new businesses in the town. Yeah, you just did that with Alliance, I believe, LERTA, so that's a good thing. Landlords should not be issued a CO without having all real estate taxes paid within the borough. And any capital purchases should be approved at the meetings. The budget's predicated on not exceeding expenses, expectations of business permits. And I budgeted $275,000 for business permits. We're $313,000 this year, but there's about $100,000 of big permits. So you got to hope that's pretty predicated on the Alliance comes in next year, puts a shovel in the ground, a couple other businesses, get that $275,000. And also, we really got to start talking about this trash fee going forward, what you're going to decide to do, because the cost of trash are going through the roof, and it's only going to get more expensive to dispose of trash. And you're subsidizing it with real estate taxes. I have another sheet in there. The salaries and the benefits, as you will see. There's some retired officers that you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 officers that are retired, still collecting benefits part of the contract. That's standard in the county, but you have 7 of them. You also have a former manager still collecting benefits under her agreement that was settled way back in 2014. She's still collecting benefits. That's on there. As you can see, if you go through it, I know it's small print, but you can see I have everybody's salary this year, the projected 5% increases, and all the benefits across the board, what they receive. For the police, with the 5%, if the contract's passed, within 5 years you'll have close to 5 or 6 officers making over $100,000. I budgeted 6 part-timers at 25 hours per week. As fire EMTs, there's 1, 2, 3. There's 6 positions budgeted at 15 hours per week, and in your recreation, we budget for 5 hours per week, whoever you decide to use for in the summer. It's all pretty standard. That can go depending on how much use you use. It's less than that, then the number will be less. Any questions as I go? Now, I have an Eddystone tax and fee analysis that you have in front of you. From 2013 to 2016, our millage was 5.75 mils each year. There was no increase for 4 years. No trash fee, and your sewer fee was $345 for those 4 years. 2017, you bumped it up, the millage went up to 7.00, sewer stayed the same, no trash fee. 2018, there was another bump to 9.15, and now there was no bump last year or in 2019. Now you have raised the millage about 2.5 mils, and since 2013, you've added 4 full-time officers. We did that, I think, in 14. There's been 21% raises through 2019. They got 3% raises for the last few years. Purchased a home. The firehouse debt service really came into place. We got all finished in 13. We started paying over $200,000 a year in debt. There's been insurance increases. Trash expenses have gone over $200,000. We've had a decrease in the assessments. Police cars, we purchase police cars almost every year. You're paying Ridley Township $2,100 a month for turnkey for the prisoners, which I think is unreasonably high. It should be half of that, because I don't know how many prisoners they're getting. We just paying $2,100 a month. There's been an increase in the police pension, and then we've had major repairs done to this building, the firehouse, Lighthouse Hall. the QRS program, office equipment we purchased. We've had some frivolous lawsuits, we gotta pay extra legal fees. And then sewer processing and repairs, every year goes up and up because our infrastructure's getting older. And we really haven't been able to, that's why there's no reserve money, because we've barely been paying these bills with very little revenue coming in. Now what I'm suggesting is, if you were to increase, the council decided to increase $1 million to cover the deficit right now, for a house assessed at $50,000, it would be a $50 increase a year. It'd be $4.16 a month, 14 cents a day. And I would also, I suggest you put a $10 trash fee in place, just to start getting that in place, because you're gonna need that, because the trash fees, I don't know where they're going with the fees. If you wanted to go to a $1.25 million increase, it's $62.50 a year, and $1.5 million increase is $75 increase per year. We're in better shape this year than we were last year. At the end of the year, we'll be able to pay the M&O at the end of the year, which we weren't able to last year, and we'll meet our obligations. But we have no real, that's why we have to get a tax anticipation note. We have no real cash going into the new year, so we'll get the tax anticipation note again. But if anybody has any questions, I've thrown a lot of numbers at you, but and most towns have the same problem. There's not enough money coming in to cover the increased costs. We either cut costs or you find other revenue sources if you want to keep balancing the budget without raising taxes.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
When Ridley decides to let these homes and businesses, liquidate some of their taxes for us, is there any say-so we get, or just Ridley just decide, and don't tell us?
The school district.
The school district goes and the school district solicitor represents the boroughs when they go through the tax system. You could go and show up at the hearing or talk to, I don't know who the solicitor is for the school district, talk to them, but they a lot of times just meet in the middle. And they're the school district solicitors pretty much know what they're doing, but it can't hurt for Sandy to give them a call and just say, we're looking to fight, we might want to fight this assessment in Eddystone, we might want to fight this, instead of just go meeting in the middle.
But they usually don't fight it though, as a general rule, they just.
That I'm not sure of, I'm not sure of, there's some towns do, some towns don't.
And we find out after the fact.
Yeah, we don't know until after the fact, and it comes across, it's already done, a done deal.
That would be just a communication issue, I don't know how the school does it really.
Yeah.
But your assessments are going down,
Yeah.
I mean, and that's what's, our millage, we need more mills to cover their taxes, because as the assessment goes down, we lose real estate taxes unless you raise the millage.
What was Walmart, we lost over $1 million, it was $2 million.
Yeah, they reassess a lot.
Yeah, they reassess a lot.
Eddystone building too down there.
You've
The
lost-
office building.
Yeah, they reset that
$1.5
too.
million less.
Yeah.
It's about $4 or $5 million in the
Yeah,
last
less.
5-6 years.
Yeah,
Now, you have some property coming on an industrial park that might raise it back up,
Yeah.
but I don't know when that's coming.
yeah. We're hoping.
Are you taking questions from the
Sure.
floor?
I
Okay.
guess so.
Joe, what's driving the 5% increase across the board for both uniform and non-uniform employees?
Historically, since I've been here, whatever the police got, the non-uniform got. And the way I understand, there's a proposed 5% increase for the police this year for 5 years, so that's why I put 5 in there. You don't want it, that's absolutely come out,
What's the current cost of living, about 2.5?
if that.
So we're looking at double the cost of living here.
Yeah, I'm just following how we've done in the past, it's not locked in stone. But, and I don't know if the contract's even been voted on or not, I don't even know what's.
I don't believe we voted on the police contract.
Yeah, so, but that's the proposal, I was told 25%, so that's why I put 5% in here. And that's why I made a point that if you wanna cut it, that can be cut, at least on the non-uniform side.
Well, if that contract hasn't been voted on, it's not a contract yet.
No, it's just proposed.
So, is it just 5%, or are there any additional
I don't know.
things? You don't, I know you didn't handle that, Joe.
Yeah, I just
So-
got the 25%, that's all I'm aware of.
I've been told that most places around the county are doing an increase of maybe 3%,
Yeah, that's the most I've seen, 3 and 2.5%.
and we ended up with 5%. Then there's been a question raised about whether or not the officers are gonna get increased pay for having gotten their EMT training. Is that 5% because of the EMT training?
I'm not sure.
You don't know. Does anybody know that? Would it be possible for us?
We discussed it, to give them a stipend for doing the EMT and finishing it
That's
for their work
That's
hours.
included in the 5%, or in
No,
addition?
no.
In addition to the
Just one
5%?
time stipend for them, commitment to the program, to finishing the program, all the hours, and all that stuff, yes.
But it's contingent on them staying in the program.
Right,
If they leave the
right.
program, they lose.
They have to finish, they have to, you know,
They have to stay certified.
yeah.
When that stipend went out to them, was there any consideration to, you know, we don't have a copy of the budget to look at. We don't know what the plans are in terms of the EMT payments and things like that. Can you tell us in general, or is that gonna stay pretty much the same, or is?
EMTs.
Yeah, the
I
sa-
budgeted less from the salaries. Last year we budgeted, I think, close to over 100,000. We're in around the $70,000 range. I don't know what the charge of the board is going forward with the EMTs, but there's money budgeted for,
We budgeted 100,000, and the 70,000 is what? Is that what's in the budget, or is that
I
what? we-
have budgeted, this year, proposal budget, I budgeted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 positions at 15 hours per week, each position, and with I have the 5% increase in their raises, so they're making between $15 and $20 an hour is the ballpark salaries for that. The total EMT budget for salaries is close to $76,000.
So we're putting less in the budget this year than we put in last year for the EMTs.
Yeah,
And is that because we didn't spend the amount that was budgeted last year on EMT coverage?
I don't know if that has anything to do with, I made a projection here, so
Okay.
decide if they want
But
more or
you
less.
looked at the actual expense, what we paid for EMT salaries in
Yeah.
2019,
And it's less, exactly.
and it's less.
The hours are less too.
And that may be because we haven't had full coverage on the ambulance. Is that not true?
That's, yeah,
The ambulance has not been going out
I don't
because
know.
we haven't been hiring people to fill the schedule,
okay,
which again, is not Joe's thing. He doesn't decide that. Is there a chance that this budget that is being presented here is going to be made publicly available? Is the reason why we?
Preliminary.
This is more of a meeting. They have to adopt the preliminary next week.
Okay, so this is not even the preliminary budget
No,
yet.
Right.
I'm projecting. I'm just gonna throw numbers out
Okay.
there and see if they agree with them.
Can I ask you just one question? It's kind of specific. I was going over last December, and there was one charge on there for 44,000 and some change on there. And is that something that we might expect again this year in December? Is that something that happens every year? It
What's
went
it for?
went to a risk management company.
That would have been our insurance.
And do we pay that like in a lump sum at the end of
That would
the
be,
year?
that might be quarterly. Our workers' comp insurance is about 40, 50 a quarter. No, not 50 a quarter, 40 a quarter. A little less than that, 30 something. So that might include some other insurances. We pay quarterly to Arthur Gallagher.
Okay.
So, but that's, if you can see, that went up 3%, but our workers' comp, I budgeted like 120-some thousand.
Mhm.
And we have police liability, we have general liability, we have, financial bonds for the certain people that handle the money. We have, property insurance, it's quite a bit of insurance, it's a big insurance package.
So
that's-
it sounded like you said that we're going to be caught up on the MMO by the end of this year?
Yeah, well, I'll have this year's paid on time, so I'm hoping to kick some more into the back from last year too. We've been paying a little bit at a time. I don't know if we'll be caught up, but at least we'll be paying this one timely. There's enough money in there to cover this one time. Like I said, once that's paid at the end of the month, there's no extra money. That's why we gotta kick the TAN in, tax anticipation.
So does that mean we're going to be still over $100,000 behind in that?
Ballpark, yeah.
So how are you caught up and paid this year if last year's isn't paid up yet?
I'd pay this year, it depends on where the actuary applies it. So I'm gonna ask them to apply it to this year's money, and we just keep paying on last year.
I don't know anybody that applies on
Well, it
present
depends.
if it's past that's.
It depends, it reduces the interest, so. But you're not gonna catch up, there's no revenue coming in. I mean, I show you the numbers. The revenue is what it is, and we just keep spending more money. We gotta cover it.
Well, how can we afford to give double the cost of living to all the employees, including the police, if we're not able to meet our obligations? And again, that's not your thing, Joe.
But the
That's a
contract's
question to
not
the
on.
council.
And the trash fee I've been harping on for many years.
Yeah.
We can't cover, we're 200,000, Beth last year wanted to see the trash fee.
Yeah.
$200,000 in trash fees. Every town has a fee. It's not a tax, it's a fee for a service that everybody charges for your expenses. You can't bring in extra trash revenue. So if there's $200,000 worth of fees in trash to move your trash, you only can bring in $200,000. You can't bring in extra money and go pay the bills and give raises. It has to cover your trash. And you guys get trash, I think, twice a week,
Right.
every week. So
Every
I
February.
pay an Aston over $300 a year, and I consider that a friggin' deal, and we don't get it twice a week. I mean, to move trash and to move sewage, $345 a year for your sewage, I think is dirt cheap. And I'm not speaking out
Yeah.
of turn, I don't think. I
But
think that's
essentially,
ridiculous.
we're spending more than we're bringing in, so we're running a deficit budget here. Every year, we're gonna be getting farther and farther behind. Now, whether we get the revenue through tax changes, or if we get the revenue through, permits, or get the revenue through having a trash fee, I personally think that the trash fee, I don't care about that, because we're already paying for the trash removal through our taxes. And, it might be a bookkeeping thing, but whether I get a bill for $40 or if I get, $40 more in my taxes, it doesn't make any difference to me. Right? I'm still paying the
But
$40.
you have businesses that are paying taxes to cover this, they could say, my taxes are paying for residential trash pickup, and I'm not getting, I have to have a dumpster.
Okay.
Like that commercial, so there's an argument there. You also, some people are assessed differently, so a woman might be paying less, and could pay less in taxes because her assessment's lower, and pay the straight fee, because everybody's getting the same service with the fee, twice a week pickup.
Okay.
Even though it's just, I'm just concerned about that, because the cost of moving trash, it went up $20 a ton last year of solid waste. The recyclable's going through the roof, and now it's gonna go up again in the next couple of years. They have no choice. We're one of the lower landfill costs in the state of Pennsylvania. Some counties are charging $80, $90 a ton for regular trash.
And what's to say that Walmart's not gonna want another decrease?
Right.
And these people that own a lot of homes at Eddystone take it out and say they want their houses, reassessed again.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be with the the countywide reassessment, I think it's gonna bounce things off. I don't think it will increase anything, but I think it'll make it a little fairer. We won't see as many drops, I don't think.
I would hope so.
You're not gonna see any
We
increases.
just had a landlord appeal his taxes and got 10 properties reassessed at half the value.
Yeah.
It's
Prior.
crazy.
You don't
It's
see
happening
And
it.
it's, attorneys are doing that
Yeah.
with all the landlords that
Yeah.
have multiple
Yeah,
properties.
it's happening
Yeah.
everywhere.
I know it's happening everywhere.
Houses that were assessed at 100,000 are now 50, so you lose half the revenue there.
Yeah.
And that's each house. There's 10 of them, 10 properties.
It's the same names, it's the same couple of attorneys that represent
Yeah.
them.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
the same guys.
And the same
employees.
homeowners.
But if a
Yeah.
homeowner goes
And
there
the other
and wants to
town.
reassess, they won't
They
get
do.
they won't get it reassessed. Why? That's what I always ask, why?
I think market value depends, they're buying these properties for pretty cheap, sheriff
They're-
sales and stuff
Yeah,
like
they're
that.
buying them cheap, but then they have to fix them up, so now they're actually nicer than,
Mhm.
And they bought 'em.
yes, a lot of other properties are assessed higher. I see it all the time. Dan works with me, shows me these properties that are reassessed and sold, and it's,
It's crazy.
yeah.
It is.
Is there a reverse on that, where you could go to the county and say, these properties have increased? Lisa's nodding her head.
We actually just did that
Yeah.
for Chichester Township.
Uh-huh.
So, once you find that they are going forward and making changes to improve their property, you can go back to the assessment office and as long as you can prove that there's been substantial
Yeah,
increase.
substantial.
Yeah.
How
They've
many
done
years
it.
back can you go, Lisa?
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
How many years back can you go?
I don't know, to tell you the truth. I know, we didn't do it, I didn't do it. The Board of Commissioners suggested to, like Pierce's solicitor, to go ahead and ask for
Problem is you gotta rely on the school.
reassessment through the school district.
Yeah.
School district's the
See,
one that has to do it,
did
right?
That's a school district, yeah.
through the school district,
Yeah.
but it did work. Nice thing to do.
Yeah.
Then the county assessment, when I hand permits in, they want to only get like decks, additions, they don't care about,
Windows.
renovating a kitchen, renovating a bathroom, and that pertains to these rental properties. Where they're, doing these improvements, they're still getting their taxes, or their assessment cut in half. So I don't know if they're actually doing their part out there, based on the permits.
Yeah, there's nothing stopping them. I mean, Walmart, $1 million is nothing to them, $2 million, $3 million,
I think Karen was looking into something to figure out how
yeah,
to get them, go back and have them reassessed.
reassess, yeah.
So it still comes back to why are we raising the police pay rate so much more than other communities are. And is that just like a one-year thing, or is that a multi-year contract?
It's a proposed 5-year contract.
So a 5-year contract would be, they'd get a 25% increase in their present salaries, and that would be like $500,000 or something?
Compound, so somebody's making 100,000, they get 105 next year, then they get 5% of 105, and then 5% of like 108, 109, so it just keeps.
So each year, the increase they get is bigger because their base salary is larger,
Correct.
bigger in dollars.
And it'll also increase it'll increase our pension payment also. Even though they contribute to it, our pension payment will go up.
Who do we have negotiating that contract with the union?
Me and Stanley.
You and Stanley? Do you have any, I mean, can you tell me why we're paying 5% and other towns are paying 3%?
I don't know if there's any special reason.
Well, we did a little research out there, and we could start off, one, why we lose so many part-time police officers.
Yeah.
Because we're set at $17 an hour. They're 25, 23, 26.
Mhm.
The lowest paid in the.
Right.
Lowest paid in the county.
Chester County out that way, 5% across the board.
But they're not under contract,
Who's not under contract?
the part-time police
I
officers.
understand that, but you gotta give them something to keep them here.
Uh-huh.
They go to Walmart's and make $15 an hour.
I know, but if they get 5%, they're getting 5% increase on $14 an hour, not 5% increase on $70 or $80 or $100,000 a year.
Well, I personally, I feel that's a good deal. I think
Is there an
it's the right thing to
economic
do.
reason for that?
I can sleep with that, because knowing what they go through day in, day out, and what they've been through, I think it is time to do this.
We're at 1803 for the part-timers. With the 5% increase, they'll be at 1893.
Right, they won't get 20 until,
Still one of the
following
lower
year.
ones, yeah, but it's
Still
not
low.
14, it's at 18.
right, we're still the lowest
Still
paid.
lowest.
Still one of the lower, most of them are close to low 20s, high 90s.
Like I said, I can sleep at night with this contract, I have no problem. I don't know how the rest of them feel, they must, like I said, we talked about it.
My opinion is just it's not the worth of the officer, it's that what the market can bear, can we afford it?
Can
Has
we
nothing
afford
to
to
do with-
lose them?
I'm not saying that, but you,
It is
but
what
then you
needs to
gotta,
be
then
considered,
you gotta find a way to pay for it.
I
mean, that's
understand
what
that,
we
but
are.
we also have to find a way to have officers, good officers.
I'm not saying, I'm not agree with that question, I'm just throwing the numbers out there, that's why you have a deficit, we're gonna have to plug the deficit. And do you wanna keep non-uniform at 5%, that's your call, I'm just throwing you the numbers, that's all your decision.
Gas contracts, they were horrible.
Yeah,
The past contracts were horrible in what way?
Well, they weren't paid what they should have got, they had to go to court to get money from individuals.
What court hearing was it? What court hearing? I don't recall a court hearing with the
Well,
police contract.
I'm
We
just
didn't
saying-
go to arbitration, they agreed to the contract.
Well, all I can tell you is this, what I saw, I didn't like.
Previous council.
And I don't think what was done was wrong, I think it was the right thing to do at the right time, to keep these guys, we got a good police force. Regardless of what people say, they do their job.
Yeah, nobody's questioning
They're
that.
walking into situations that are not easy to deal with anymore. And I don't wanna lose, you wanna build a town, you gotta build a police force first.
What about EMS? You don't support the EMS, but
I,
you support the
no,
police.
I never said I didn't support it. We gotta find a way to do it.
Well,
You
we're
just-
cutting.
You're finding a way to give them 5%, but you're not finding a way to support the EMS.
Well, I can't talk about it
They
now,
do their job.
but there's things that can be
They
done.
do a good job, was that your
I
comment?
said they do their job.
The EMS do their job too.
No one ever said they didn't.
Well, she just
She
said.
just said
I did
that.
not, I said the police do their job.
I,
Did not say that the fire department doesn't do
The
their
fire
job.
department do a
But-
great job also.
No one-
How many volunteers have we had? We've had a decrease in
Mandy, how
employees.
many years have you volunteered up there?
I haven't,
0,
and I
exactly.
won't.
I
I haven't,
volunteered
and I
30
won't.
years up there. It's a shame that there's no volunteers no more. It's a shame. It's not my
I've
fault.
taken my daughter out of the fire department downstairs because there was no supervision.
There was supervision.
There wasn't
There is
supervision. There wasn't.
is
There was
supervision.
drinking, there was nonsense, there was lots of chaos going on.
Well, I'm sure there was.
Yeah.
Well, we were talking about the paid staff. I know that the fire
Okay, do
department.
we have any other questions regarding, to Joe about the budget information?
When is the police contract gonna be presented to council to ratify by the,
Next week.
next week?
Next week.
I have it on the agenda, I have it on the agenda
You have
for
to,
new
to pass
business.
the budget, you have to have some contract in place, so I know what numbers to put in there.
What was the, what was, when they, police made their initial offer, what was their initial offer for how many years? I'm asking whoever negotiated the contract.
The last one they had was 3 years.
Correct.
They got, this time we looked at 5 years.
They're looking at 5 years. Joe, do you have any concerns with the current state of affairs with healthcare? You know, projecting out 5 years of,
Healthcare, it's been flat for 3 years, it's not gonna stay flat. And then, but my concern is, it's not that, it's just affording it 5 years from now, you're gonna have 5 guys over 100 grand. So unless you raise taxes, you don't have a problem with it. But if you're gonna keep finding ways to offset the deficit with possible permit fees, possible something else, there's gonna be an issue, because it's gonna be it's a lot of money.
Well, I just, like, I'd like Stan, since he's got no problem with this contract, I want him to say he's got no problem with raising taxes to pay for it. Because we can't spend money that we don't have. That's how people go bankrupt.
Then why are we paying $90 a ton for recycling?
because you're reducing your carbon footprint.
Yeah, also because we have a law that requires that, which was passed by council, that you could repeal if you want to. I haven't heard anybody talking about that. So I assume that the people that are in favor of this 5% raise are also in favor of a tax increase.
You also get the performance grant for your recycling. If you don't participate in a recycling program, you don't get any credit for what the ShopRite recycles, for what Walmart recycles.
Are we turning that in now?
Yeah, I was trying
That's, how much money do we get on the recycling performance grant?
2 weeks, a couple $1,000 we'll get. That was filed, we haven't got the
A
money.
couple of thousand, but we're spending how much?
But for recycling, about 10 grand this year.
And
So
how much
we're
do we,
getting a
how much do we
couple
get back
thousand,
on, how much do we get
spending
back on the
We're
performance grant?
spending 10 and we're getting back 2?
A couple thousand, yeah.
Yeah,
You're not getting it.
7,400.
7,400?
Last year, the last year one, and then this year, we don't know the total yet.
The
grant's in,
recycling's not doing as well as
They
it
get it
should be
next
doing.
year.
Yeah, you're gonna next year the grant.
Yeah,
The last one
we
got
all know
was
that.
7,400, 7,500.
Yeah, we paid, I budgeted $70,000. This year, we averaged about $4,000 a month to Solid Waste Authority, and averaging a little less than $1,000 a month to JP Mascaro for the recycling. And but there's also, we do bulk pickup, and we don't charge for that either, which is crazy too. And you get
Well, who
some
does,
picked up,
bulk
We do
pickup
charge
is,
for bulk pickup.
very little, you're losing money on that.
Yes, we don't charge enough for bulk
That's my
pickup, but
point.
we do charge for bulk
Yeah,
pickup.
so that's why I've been saying to the trash things, I think since
Doesn't need to be
2013,
increased.
you're getting free trash pickup.
Well, we're picking up glass bottles at the bar too, so we're paying for them, taxpayers.
Joe, can I ask you about the budget process?
Yeah, if you like, sure.
So, you say we have to have a police contract in place before we can approve a budget, right?
You don't have to, but I need an estimate of where they're gonna go with it, because if I put in 5% and they go 8%, that's not gonna happen, but I won't be able to fund it, and just vice versa, if I put in 5 and they come in at 3, then I over budget, I could use that money somewhere else, so it would be nice to have it in place, at least even if it's not signed, at least you know it's not gonna change.
So that could wait until after January.
Yeah, I don't know, I haven't been part of negotiations, so I don't know how long they've
Well,
been
there's,
negotiating.
yeah, when is their contract up? Is that up at the end of the year?
And maybe you're
Because I'm looking at people who are gonna be voting on a five-year contract to give a 5% increase to all the borough employees, every single one, plus the police officers, plus whatever stipend they're getting for the training and stuff like that. And, some of these people are not even gonna be here in a month. And we're gonna be stuck with that for 5 years. It seems like you're spending the future's money here. I don't know that we're saving any money by going to a 5-year as opposed to going to a 3-year or 2-year. But, it just, I don't think that the, I don't know. I just think this is like a lame duck decision here, and I think that it's way out of line, and I haven't seen any justification for it yet. And everybody's acting like it's a done deal.
No, we didn't say it was a done deal.
Okay.
That's good.
That's good then, Beth, because what I'm hearing is that was the number that Joe was given. And I heard Stan, who's the negotiator.
You know, everything's not written in stone, Glenn.
Okay.
Still debating it, it'd be nice, we'll see what happens after we get all the numbers.
I'm gonna need some direction on other
I
things,
know.
what you wanna
I
do.
know.
At least if everybody just gave me an idea, I can compile everybody's thoughts if they're different for non-uniform,
Right,
as well as if there's anybody wants to put a $10 or $20 trash fee in place,
yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah.
Because you gotta fund recreation too, you gotta fund the
Absolutely.
beautification. And the other problem is your buildings, the firehouse here, we put a lot of money into from the mold issue there, the roof caving in here,
Yeah,
Lighthouse Hall's had issues.
yeah.
So that's not gonna get that much
Yeah.
better, because they're not new buildings. And, so, you know, we're just hoping that, you know, they don't have bad weather.
We do need to find money to pay the EMS and get them back up to speed. And what's going on right here, we're saying that we're actually cutting them further rather than putting more money into that. Joe just said, Beth, that he's going from 100,000 down to 70,000.
I can't hear you.
I'm saying that we still need to figure out how we're going to provide ambulance coverage for the citizens of the town. I don't know whether the police officers, who we all like and respect and appreciate, would want to get their increase at the expense of killing off the ambulance
I don't
service.
think that's not a great,
Doesn't even come in.
yeah, that doesn't even come into play.
We have
Well,
100
it has to come into play when you're
Now, if
spending
you're saying
money.
you're gonna kill off that's not fair.
Yeah, but
You
you're only
just
budgeting
reduce the budget.
$70,000 for next year for EMT
It's 6
service.
hours
What
a
was
day.
budgeted the past 5 years for EMT services?
Last year, we're not gonna
Past
meet,
five.
I don't know, the last five, I just can tell you the
Well,
last couple of years, it's a
we
little
need to know
over
what the last
100,000. I can get to the last five, I don't know.
So that's a 30% cut,
But we're not gonna even meet that this year because it's been down, I haven't been.
because we haven't staffed the EMTs.
Correct.
They have not been able to go out because there's been some kind of freeze on hiring. They've got big holes in their schedule because the borough is blocking hiring EMTs. That's why the ambulance only has one person available, and we have the QRS go out and no ambulance, because you need 2 people on the ambulance.
The borough is not blocking hiring anyone.
They aren't?
Matter of fact, when
Are you accepting
Ed-
applications?
Are you accepting
when
applications?
When Ed was getting his officers trained, he reached out and asked if there was anyone else that wanted to be trained, and we were told no, no
Mhm.
one else wanted to be trained.
You're talking about volunteers versus paid.
Yeah.
You reach out to the volunteers, you didn't reach out to the paid staff.
He didn't reach out to.
We haven't heard
any
anything about it.
employees.
Not one member has
Reached
heard
out to
about
the
this.
chief,
And they were
the
told no.
chief, yes.
Who do you talk to? You talk to Andy, or who?
Not one member has heard about this EMT school.
Well, then you should talk to your chief,
Well, we will.
because that's who Ed talked to.
And the
Even
person
so-
pay for us to go to school?
Even so, it looks like you need about 12 people, from what I've been told. 12 part-time people, EMTs hired, in order to fill out the schedule, which has already been agreed to in the past year, just for one shift. Because these people work a few hours here and a few hours there. And when we have a schedule that can't be filled because we don't have EMTs to cover it, it means that we either spend the money to hire more EMTs to fill the
Cause a
schedule.
bigger problem, the same problem with our part-time police officers, when they decide that they won't come here, we don't have part-time police officers because they're not making the money that they can make elsewhere, just like our EMTs did.
Well, you already have that situation.
Right.
They're
so you're gonna
already
create another
underpaid.
one.
Well,
You're
that's,
trying to fix one that's not fixable yet,
Mandy,
yeah.
they're underpaid and that's why you have a problem.
They're not signing up for the shifts, they went elsewhere.
Because you won't hire anyone. There's
Because
been a
the people
hiring
that were
freeze
here weren't doing
since-
a sufficient job.
Since
They weren't
last year,
doing
there's
their
been a
job.
hiring freeze.
Now, you're saying that the EMTs that the borough paid here were not doing their job?
I'm saying that they weren't being supervised properly, and no, they weren't doing their job the way they should have been doing their job.
Oh,
Do you have anything in your record?
well, we agree that they weren't being supervised.
Yep,
Of course, who would supervise them?
you would. You know it all, tell me, who would supervise
I'll
them?
tell you who, their employer would supervise them, that's
And
who.
who's their employer, Glenn?
The employer is the borough for the
No,
paid
it's
staff.
not. Look at the litigation, it's public record, you should have all that.
Oh, has that been
Yeah.
settled? Really? The labor industry ruled that they're not employees?
Did I say that?
No, you
Don't
said,
put words in my mouth.
no, you said it was settled, and I'm asking you.
I said that it's public record, look it up.
public record
Yep.
is that the labor and industry has not decided yet, and they're gonna decide that they're employees.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd agree.
Just for housekeeping, you'd have to pass the preliminary, you can pass it and you can make changes to it next week. If somebody can get me where they wanna go with the salaries, next week you can pass it, you can pass it with a deficit. It doesn't have to be balanced, and then you have to pass it, you have to leave it available for 10 business days for the public to review and comment, and then you can pass the final budget prior to the end of the year. And any new council, if they have the votes, can reopen the budget in January, if that's the case too. So if anybody says they can't, as long as they have the votes, they can reopen it in January. And make changes, so I think it's like 15% on line item or something.
15% per line item?
Yeah, I believe that's what it is.
Huh?
It's a
Total.
total
Sorry,
of
total.
15%.
Oh, total?
Total, yeah, the whole budget, yeah.
Gotcha.
They're gonna adjust it up to 15%.
I think you have to a certain date to do that.
Yeah, you gotta do it right, if you're gonna reopen it, you have to do it right after like reorganization meeting.
And if all these projects come in, the shovels in the ground next year, and they come in where they're projecting, you'll have a lot of money coming in, but the concern with that is too, it's just one-time permits. So you gotta look in the long run, we gotta figure out what we're gonna do, as salaries increase, as costs increase, as infrastructure gets older and older. And we have no additional money in savings at all, there's no fund balance at the end of the year. It's pretty much zero. Any further questions, Ms. Buckles?
Anyone else? Jessica? Thanks, John.
Joe, when do you need direction from anybody from council to make adjustments before we see the preliminary budget?
Up to the meeting, whenever he's gonna give it to me, so email me, call me, whatever, I'll come in here and meet again. In the afternoon, if it's less than a quorum, we don't have to advertise, if people have ideas, wanna meet individually, I'll gladly do that. And I'll present that on Monday, what was proposed from other council people, and then you can decide what you wanna do with it then too. We're not gonna get any worse than, the worst you're at right now is $143,000 in deficit, that's less than $1 million. It's in better shape than I actually thought it would be, considering the increased costs. So we're in pretty good shape that way, and I was.
That's with about 70,000 for EMT.
Yeah, exactly. 76,000.
Joe,
Which
real quick.
Pat,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
essentially, that number needs to be doubled just to cover one 10-hour shift for 6 days a week for an entire year.
And then you're looking at $1.5 million.
When is 6 days in a week, 7 days in
I thought it was Sundays or something, we were volunteer, or
No.
I thought we were funding
No.
6 days a week, or we're
No.
funding 7 days a week.
a week? I've been on council, they've been funding 7 days a week.
We're not funding it.
Yeah, people need.
You're putting it in the budget and you're not spending the money.
Still funding.
How much of that 100,000 have we spent? 70,000.
All right, let me adjust my math. 2380 times 52 is 123,760, and then throw about 30% on top of that, which is gonna cover your employer-paid taxes and your workers' compensation. So now we're at 160,888. So you're looking at 160,000.
So that'd be another 90 grand.
Was that for 2 shifts?
That's for one 10-hour shift, 7 days a week. That's ballparking it at $17 an hour, which is, I think, pretty much where we're at with the EMT salary, correct?
No, with the 5% increase, they're 15, with the 5% increase, they'd be at 1538 next year. And the fire marshal makes more, of course. But they're at 1465 right now.
Was there a contribution to the fire company next year?
No, just the money for the fire relief, which we get from the state.
Just the relief and the
No additional
hydrant
con-
fees and all
No,
that? No,
there's money budgeted for maintenance and repairs, salaries,
no-
nothing,
nothing for operations?
no capital, no, nothing.
Okay.
I don't have a budget, and I wasn't told to do anything. You have for fire, you have, what's under maintenance repairs, 20 grand, electricity, liability insurance, fuel, salaries, and the hydrant rentals, that's put under there, the free rental. That's it. It's about $171,000 total for the fire budget.
No. Our audit's in. What's that? Anything else? Joe, before you go, where do we stand with our audits?
17's done, 18, we're still compliant, 18's gonna be done by, hopefully by the end of the year, they'll be compliant. So,
When was it started?
18, we started a couple weeks ago, they've been starting to piece, I gotta give them a few other things. So I know there's a, you know, you're compliant now, so if you want to get a grant tomorrow, you can get one.
Each mill is worth how much?
168,000
We're not
Each mill is 168,000.
ballpark, yeah. It comes to about almost 1.6 million if you stay right now. You take the middle 168 times 9.15, and that gives you your tax. The mill's calculated, our assessment this year was just everybody knows how it's done. Your assessment came in at the county at $181,243. Divide that by 1,000, gives you $181,243. You take 2% discount out for all the people that pay early, and 5% delinquency. Gives you a net mill of 168,556. You times that by 9.15, that gets your total real estate taxes, ballpark proposed that you're gonna collect. And like I said, the assessment's gone down quite a bit since 2013. So you don't get as much per mill as you used to. But at 1 mill, you balance, you have an extra 17 grand left over if you don't touch anything else in the budget.
So basically, if we raise it by 4 mills, you'll cover your amount, plus you have EMTs 24/7
Yeah,
for 7 days, and the police department will get their.
If you raise it 4 mills, there's
You
a lot
cover
of
everything,
things, a lot of
right?
things. You'll bring in almost $600,000.
And we cover everything, right?
Yeah, you get caught up on the pension too. Now that would be, 4 mills would be roughly $240 a year. Or if house assessed at 50,000. Now it puts you at 13 mills.
Now, that tax, if you raise that tax, Joe, which bill does that come out of? I mean, does that come out of your borough tax or your?
Borough tax.
Okay, and our a typical borough tax bill is like $300?
Well, a house assessed at 50,000, times that by 9, so it'd be 450. You take 50,000 divided by 1,000 is 50, times that by the mill, it's like $450 per house assessed at 50,000. You're assessed at 100,000, you're talking around $800 for your borough taxes.
Your house is assessed at 100,000, it's $910
Ballpark, I thought I said 800 something.
right now.
It's always close, so, yeah. So if you jump 4 mills, you're gonna be $1,300.
Be $1,300 for $100,000.
Ballpark. And no trash fee either, so if you can bump the trash fee up, that would, and then reduce taxes, you can do that too. Don't have such a high millage increase, but increase the trash fee, it's fairer.
As you said, Joe, we're the only town left with 2 days of trash. Everybody else is one day with trash.
A couple towns have it 2 days still, but they charge they charge a
Right.
fee.
Yeah.
So we have 2 trash days, we don't charge. And some towns, they're
We have a
recycling are every
recycling day,
2 weeks
Right.
instead of every week.
Now, you guys have great trash pickup.
Right, well, where I'm at with all this, I got 1 truck just repaired,
Yeah, that's the problem.
second truck in, and I'm only have a certain amount of people.
That's my concern, you're caught, the trucks are falling apart.
I have no place to put them out of the weather, so they've been out in the weather forever. And I'm trying to keep everything afloat. So, you know, it's gonna come a time when we're gonna go to 1 day a week, and then we're gonna do recycling every 2 weeks. It's because we just can't keep going the way we are with these trucks.
You're making my argument, as I said, the costs are going up and up. And if the trucks go down, then we gotta outsource some things, that's gonna cost money too.
So how much are you saving, Joe, if you go every other week on recycle? You're still taking the same amount of recycling
Yeah,
to
you're
the
gonna,
dump?
you're not gonna
You're still paying the employees, whether they're picking up trash or they're down there
And
doing something else.
the trucks might last a little longer, that's probably about it.
Right,
Trucks
so really, it's not, you're not
You're
saving
saving
any money.
on gas.
Right,
for
you're
one
saving
day.
on gas for one day.
But
So our trash
yeah,
truck
you,
is 20 years old, right?
yeah, that's what I mean,
Yeah.
and they're about 300, 400 grand to buy a brand new.
How many, how old?
Trash truck's 13.
13.
2007.
And how much is a new trash truck? Yeah,
About 300 grand,
how much?
300 grand.
What's it usually cost to outsource trash?
Depends on the bid, I mean, I know some towns, I'd say it's hard to tell because it's the size of the town and what they pick up, but I've seen it from anywhere from 10 grand a month to 20-some thousand a month, depending on size of the town, pickups, how many pickups. It's all bid process the engineer would handle.
What's budgeted for trash this year? Like not.
The cost of $220,000.
That's
no
payroll,
payroll.
everything?
That's everything, yes.
Now, remind you, Joe, different townships to pick up trash, have outsiders come in.
Sure.
They only take certain items, no grass clippings, no tree
I agree with
branches,
you. I
no
agree. In-house is better
couches, no
service.
chairs,
I agree with
that's all extra.
I
That's
agree.
something, you know, we've been doing for free.
Yeah, no, I agree
Throw
with
the
you.
couch in there, throw the chair in there.
And you say you got budgeted 220,
220, about
which
221.
includes their salaries, right?
Yes, it includes all the traffic.
So that means if you got to an outside source, it's gonna cost you what, 100 to 200,000 anyhow?
Ballpark, yeah, ballpark.
So 150,000?
Ballpark.
So in other words, you save 70,000, but then you have to have employees to do other things in the borough. So are you really, how much you
You're
really
not gonna
save?
save, you're not gonna save, that's it, you're not gonna really save.
You're not saving anything by having outsourced the trash then,
Not if you keep the guys you have on the staff.
375.
especially when you only have 2 full-time employees,
Yeah, there's 2 full-time budget for trash,
so you're not saving
or
anything.
1 part.
And then you're looking at maybe 1 or 2 trash pickups, not
We
3.
did, that's when we bought our own trash truck.
We did have an outside
Outside,
gang.
for years.
For years,
Yeah,
and
it was
then
before me.
it just got out of line.
Yeah, I know, sometimes, but you can put stuff in the bid contract, that if they don't do certain things, you can hold them back money and stuff like
The
that.
sad part is, once you bring them in, them
That's it.
items that you wanna get rid of, shame on you, they're not
Or the
taking.
it's just how you draw off the contract, I
Yeah,
guess.
some don't, my daughter's place does not take any furniture at all, not.
No, I think in-house, and keep it in-house with residents.
Some
get better
places you
pickup
have to
to
use
take care
their
of
own
the
trash
neighborhood.
bags.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
have to
But
pay
some
for
of the outside
bags.
services are
Have to
pretty
pay
good
for
too, you just gotta
trash
pay
bags,
for it.
yeah.
You have to buy trash
You have
bags
to
from
buy
the-
their trash
the
bags.
company?
You said, no, it's
No,
their trash.
from the township, or the borough.
But
So
some
you
towns
have to
trash.
buy their
Yeah.
bags.
Some towns actually negotiate, each homeowner has to negotiate their own trash.
That's true.
Pickup.
Yeah,
That sounds like it might be for leaf collection or something. No?
no.
That's for trash.
Because I know that we had that one place where we lived where the bags had to be
Yeah,
able
you
to
have
be
certain bags for
recycled.
pickup. Yeah, no, this is actual trash. Everybody?
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
New business item. Consideration of land acquisition agreement with Alliance.
Madam Chair, I just want to correct that. You've already approved this contingent on a review, which I wanted to give you all a copy of what we had, but we're still working on it, and I've asked Tanya's opinion as well, so
Okay.
that will not be for consideration. You've
Okay.
already approved it. I will try and bring information if we can get it together by
Okay.
next week.
Delport presentation?
Over here on the ninth.
It'll be here on the ninth.
Del Toro's coming on the ninth.
They were supposed to be here today.
No, the ninth.
They were supposed to be here
Are
today.
they here? You sure?
That's
I'm sorry.
Tuesday last week, I think.
Yeah, we were here and then so that's what they were told.
When were we notified of this?
When did they change it?
They said it was either Tuesday or Wednesday last week.
Before
They had called.
What's the presentation gonna be on?
It's for Delcor being bought out by Aqua. So that you need to sign a contract with Aqua. Since we're right now in our contracts with Delcor.
That's not
What a nightmare.
I can explain more of it, but it's easier if they explain it
Yeah.
to you.
Yeah. The EDSI program presentation.
I know, maybe that's next week too.
Is that with Delport?
No,
Different.
What's EDSI?
Oh, that's probably this one.
That's the street lights.
oh, it's a street.
They're not here either.
Nope, they're not here.
Has that been rescheduled?
They were supposed to have them up in July.
They were supposed to, yeah, start in September.
Yeah, the streetlight program's on hold right now.
Why?
It's on hold everywhere
Why?
because of financing. Because they're trying to run the financing through the county, and because there was a switch with the election, they're having more discussions with the new county council that's coming in, So that's held everything up with the process with the finance.
Didn't we already give
You
the
approved it, but county council hasn't approved it.
Oh,
And the current county council will not approve a contract because of the new county council, so they're waiting for the new county
Makes
council.
sense.
That does make sense.
So they're waiting for the new county council to come in, and once they're seated, they will vote on the issue of the financing, but the financing is gonna run through Delaware County for the municipalities that are gonna finance.
So is
So
the
if they-
financing gonna change for what was
Finances
originally?
are gonna change, it just need the approval, but they're waiting for the county council.
But this was all supposed to be done
So
and
they have to
started in
reapprove.
September, so what held it up then?
All the same thing.
Is that what it was, September?
September.
They knew
And
there
then
was
they
a-
were
they knew there
supposed
was
to
a-
start
they
in
knew there was an election
Eddystone
in
in September.
November.
We approved it back in June.
I met them 3 times at Chester, they were waiting on finance.
That's what we
Yeah, we're supposed to do the construction in September.
Maybe by next September.
Yeah, yeah.
You can always be hopeful.
That'll be good. So, do you know?
No.
So, consideration of FOP Borough Police Contract Agreement. Next week.
The only other thing for new business, I forgot to put on there, I apologize. CDBG resolution and the hearing. The hearing will be right at 7 PM. It was advertised in the beginning of the year.
Say that again, the hearing will be,
At 7 PM, that'll start at
Next
7
Monday.
PM prior to the council meeting. And then we go right into the council meeting.
Monday, okay.
Next month.
Thanks, Mike.
Sorry about that, I just forgot to mention.
Okay. All right, public comment. Mr. Wilson.
I'm okay, thank you.
Okay. Mrs. Wilson.
I just wanted to follow up on last month's, there was a presentation by Catania Engineering about a stormwater runoff remediation plan.
Plan for
And
Alliance.
the plan was going to be posted on the website for public review.
The
And
P, the
Yeah.
pollution reduction plan.
Right, right. Was that on the website? I couldn't find it.
I don't post, I know that Kristen, who was here,
Mhm.
sent it over, I don't know if it's got on the website as of yet,
Okay.
but it was sent over, so. There should be a copy here, so anyone that would wanna come and take a look at it.
During
is
business
welcome. During
hours when I'm
business hours,
working.
They certainly can do so. I know you were
Not
trying to do it a
available,
little bit
and I
more
mentioned that
electronically,
last
but,
month, and then, so it sounded like it was gonna be on the website. So there's still a week left for public comment, is that right?
Yeah, it should be, it's 30 days from when we presented it, so.
Okay.
So could it be on the website, or do I have to take a half a day off of work, or can I?
Did Kristen email it? Yeah, I'll find out.
Okay.
Alright, action items. 2020 preliminary budget. This is for next week. Permission to advertise 2020 preliminary budget. Approval of minutes. Treasurer's report. Cash receipts and disbursements journal. Code enforcement report. Police report. Fire report. Engineer report. An executive session is scheduled prior to the next regular council meeting at 6 PM. Regular council meeting is scheduled for 12/9/19 at 7 PM. Prayer
But the
by,
hearing meeting at 7, right, and then.
Prayer by,
yeah.
they passed to Charlie, her other friend, Ronald Hughes, and that lady,
Okay,
yeah.
round table. Can we start with, Mayor?
I'm good.
Dan?
I have things, but I'll wait till the next council.
Okay. I'm going the opposite direction.
Yeah, I know,
Okay.
I mean, I have, you know, the only thing I can tell you right now is the bathrooms are winterized, they're like house. They don't go through another flood.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Beth?
I hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving with their family. I hope everybody else put on at least 4 pounds. Yes, Christmas is coming, so another 4 probably. Senior luncheon, I'm gonna be with Kelly's coming up. So if you're a senior, That's 60 and over?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
60 and over, okay, get a nice lunch, next Saturday. Yeah, Kelly.
Man,
I'm good.
Bill, Stuart?
I've got some serious concerns with the proposed budget for the police department. You know, and I'll preface the comments with that I am a big champion of the police department, and my time here on council, I'm proud of the fact that we were able to fully staff the police department. I'm proud of the fact that we were to put rank and file with, you know, naming the new chief, the lieutenant, the sergeant. I'm proud of the police department for the fact that they've got their EMTs. However, you know, considering that we would be facing a deficit, and that deficit kind of falls squarely on the shoulders of this contract. 5% is double what the cost of living is. 5% is much higher than what is been proposed and accepted by other departments throughout Delaware County, and 5 years is a long time to be locking in, so, you know.
How many other boroughs have locked in at 5?
Chester.
Chester.
Chester just did theirs and they're 5 years. Most of them are going to 5 years.
What was Chester's increase?
I don't know, I just heard it was 5 years.
Very minimum.
That's right, you know, yeah. So they get 5%?
No, no. 1.5
Okay. That's for the police?
for the police and fire.
Okay.
But the contract doesn't just negotiate an increase in salary, correct?
They're the two major things in the contract, is what's the duration of the contract and what's the salary increase is
And
going
the
to be.
benefits don't change?
Benefits have stayed flat for the last 3 years. We're in that public healthcare trust,
Yes.
which has performed very well, and the healthcare has not increased over the past 3 years. With the presidential election next year, who knows where healthcare is going to go.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's, that 5% just is, to
But what's
me,
the 5% a given because there was other things they were asking that we couldn't give?
what did they ask for? What did the police ask for? When they gave the initial offer, what was their initial offer?
They wanted, they wanted 50 and 25, 50 and 25 and out. They wanted 6 weeks, 25
Was
years.
there something with the holidays too?
They wanted 3 extra holidays. But I don't wanna give, because I don't wanna give false information.
But there was a lot more that they were asking for, right?
What was the percentage they asked for, an increase in pay? Did they ask for 5%?
Normally they do.
Okay, they asked for 5%.
Normally, you know, and I've been
Normally they
involved in
do.
three police contracts, and it's always 5%, 5 years, 5%, that's the initial offer. And then the borough comes back with a counter offer.
What's the one-time stipend? How much is that? You said there was a one-time stipend?
Yeah, I don't remember.
For the EMTs?
Yeah.
That's 5%.
So this coming year, they're gonna get a 10% raise.
No.
I'll have to wait to bring it.
Yeah, I don't have it with me.
We don't know that number?
I don't remember that number.
Oh, okay.
My intel says 5%. 5% increase for the fact that you've got an EMT certificate, on top of that, another 5% increase in your
I
salary.
don't remember. I don't know why I thought three.
Like I said, I don't have it here.
Yeah.
I'll have it here next week, everything will be done.
So for 2020, if there's a 5% plus a 5% stipend, then that means that the number that Joe's working with is gonna be double,
I thought it was
right?
3 and 5, yeah.
And you wanna know
Yes.
if that goes towards the pension too, I don't know, that stipend, does that go towards
No.
the base
So
salary?
it was supposed to be a one and done.
Okay. I don't
But
have
it's like-
10% by-
Percent, though.
But why is
So
it a
that's-
percent then?
Because it's based on their rate of pay and how much they're paid.
So they're
Did you
getting
negotiate that,
they're-
I
Mandy?
did not,
Wait.
Oh.
but I've seen the contract just like everyone else on council who was present did.
We
Okay.
discussed it.
Then how come nobody knows whether they, oh,
Because it's been months and we've had a lot of other things go on in between them, and you forget things.
well, I'm just saying that if it's 5% plus 5% for the
Well,
first
when you see the
year.
contract, we can all discuss it. And we all have
Well,
it
if
in
you
front
don't know
of us.
what's in the contract.
We
that's-
don't either, apparently.
Apparently. What I'm saying,
January 6th.
what I'm saying is that you gave Joe 5% to work with this budget. If for just the first year, there's 5% plus 5%, that means it's gonna be 10%. In 2020, that means that
I don't
Joe's
remember
gonna
5 and
look
5. I
bad
remember
because
3 and 5.
Will you please stop, Mandy?
I'm talking just like you're talking.
I am yeah, you're talking over me, and you
No,
keep
I'm
interrupting
answering.
me.
You said
Okay,
if it's
so
5
the
and
fact of
5,
the
and I
matter
said
is
I don't
it's not
remember
here,
5
so-
and 5. I remember 3 and 5.
Yeah.
That's what was discussed in the discussion that I partook in, was 3 and 5, not 5 and 5. Now, I
Okay.
could be wrong. It may have changed afterwards.
Well, thank
But
you.
we don't know because none of us have it in front of us.
Well, thank you, Mandy, because if it's 3 and 5, it's still the wrong number to give Joe. It still means that
I didn't
his
give the
number's
number to
gonna be
Joe. Joe,
bad.
did I give you the number? No. Thank you.
So we're talking about 8% raise this year, is that what we're talking about?
No.
That's what Mandy says.
It's not a, there's not a
It's not what
raise.
it is.
That's
Three
funny.
and
We
a
keep hearing-
5 is 8, a 5 and a 5 is 10.
Not all
we
of
keep
them are
hearing the words
against.
come out of her
But
mouth.
the full-time-
Two separate things.
And it's not a flat 8, it's 5% and then 3%. So it's not 8%.
Well, I'll tell you how I heard about some of this stuff, because around the county, there were people saying that this borough was taken.
Who said that?
I'm not gonna tell you,
That this
but I'm
Oh,
talking to
this borough
somebody
is
who's on another borough council,
I don't know.
and the FOP is out there saying, hey, they didn't even make us a counteroffer. So,
Just taking, I don't understand.
They-
That's a better speaker.
Yeah, we took them over they got on us. Yeah. But we haven't even signed it. We haven't
I don't know how you
even-
negotiate without making a counteroffer.
Because there's more items on the list than just an increase in pay.
I'm done, thank you.
Okay. Well, senior luncheon will be on Sunday.
Yes.
This Sunday from 12 to 3. Saturday, I'm sorry, 12 to 3. The notices will be in your mailboxes shortly, as soon as we can get some people to deliver those. And then the toy giveaway will be the following Saturday. Santa will start at 10, he'll end at Lighthouse Hall at 11. Make sure the children or the guardian, whoever has the child, make sure that they have proof of residency. What else? Oh, and the 11th is the tree lighting. So we're gonna have everyone meet out front of the school, on the 9th Street side of the school. And we're gonna do sort of a caroling parade to the monument, where we will light the tree. And I heard Santa might be there, so,
He's busy.
yeah. Well, he's gonna take some time out for us, so Santa will be there too, and that's on Wednesday, the 11th. Hot chocolate and cookies after. That is all I have.
Thank you.
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Don't forget to.